Welcome. It is great to have you here. My name is Rosh, and this video live stream, we're talking about photographers' brand equity. I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer for a good 30 years, working from photojournalism, from at daily newspapers, all the way through to commercial advertising photography. And I share my ideas with you to help you grow your business. I talk a lot about pricing. I talk about marketing and branding for a photographer and what it takes to succeed as a photographer. And I'm going to talk about the importance of brand equity first, and then I will take any questions from people who are in the audience who wander by, in and out, either way. Just put your question in the chat, and if you have to go, come back later and you can check out the answer if you have to leave for some reason. And those of you who are catching on the replay, hey, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it very much. And those of you who are catching this on the replay, of course, put your questions in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you feel you're getting value from it. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. We're getting a lot of new subscribers lately, so I appreciate that very much. So let's talk about brand equity for a photographer. I have had the opportunity to watch photographers grow. Young photographers, older photographers. I've seen and have met many famous photographers, names that you've known. And the big difference between why one photographer charges $50 for a photo and another $50,000 for a photo is their brand. I mean, the photography is not a black box anymore. There are many different layers, and I think some people mistake the value of all the different layers of what a photographer does today, from pre-production through to post-production, and the styles that they create, say in Photoshop, or at least under their direction, if they have other people work on their photographs, whatever it may be, their lighting, the whole experience of working with them is part of it. But that is the brand. What is a brand? A brand is not your logo. A brand is your reputation, and your reputation will dictate what people are willing to pay, or the way they feel, based on, one, what you have created in the past, who you have worked for in the past starts to add to your brand. So it's important to share the level of photography as you grow, who you've worked with, and depend on those referrals. The thing is, when developing yourself as a photographer, those who hire the $25,000 a day photographer, or per picture photographer, per image, refer to other people who need a $25,000 a day or per image photographer. And those who hire a $25 per image or per hour photographer refer to other people who need a $25 or whatever the case may be photographer. In other words, you have control. But the question is, do you have the patience to get to where you want to go? A lot of us, and it's understandable, over time come to a plateau of where we feel our worth is. And that may be $100 an hour, $300 per image, a day rate of $850 or $3,000. Whatever that is, you will not go beyond where you feel you have value. You will not take it beyond that, your comfort level. And so you have to keep ratcheting that up. And you need to continuously look for the people, improve to the people, and develop your reputation for the target. Now, there is nothing wrong with having a good career where you are paid regularly $200, $800 per image, $1,000 per image. Maybe you make $3,000, $4,000 a day, or even $2,000 a day on average for the work that you do. You work in a local community. It's where you want to work. You want to work with your family. Let me give you an example. For me, I've not wanted to travel other than my speaking, but regularly for my photography. I never was willing to take those. Let me step back. I have traveled plenty, but I didn't want to make that crazy schedule, who I know many photographers who are at the highest levels are just traveling all over the place like crazy. And it's tough. And I was not willing to do that. That sacrificed probably some more national level reputation, which transfers into fees. It does not mean my fees are low. That is not the case at all. But I have to be the reputation of the. Here's one thing that we often know: the expert is the guy from out of town or the lady from out of town. The expert is the person from out of town. So if I am in town, I'm just another photographer in town, and maybe one of the more expensive photographers or one at a certain level. That's fine, but I'm comfortable there. That's where I want to be. While there's some other wonderful photographers who, are happy to travel and are good. Maybe they're younger photographers, maybe they're older photographers. It doesn't matter. It just depends on your comfort level and where you wish to be. But your brand equity is the difference between the different rates that you charge. And the brand equity in terms of your reputation, how you feel about you, and the reputation you develop of how people look at you. And so you have to work on both ends. You need to build yourself up to the point of it's okay to increase your rates. It's okay to ask for those higher rates, or even to go to a higher end client and go after those clients. It's going to take more effort and time than the lower hanging fruit that's around all of us, that delivers the opportunity to be able to photograph and maybe get paid a little bit of money. But we're all in control. It's just how much. I know photographers who have waited years to get to where they wanted to go and did not, and continue to build their brand, and in some cases even did other type of work without not making it big, major public, say everybody, hey, I do this too. No. They're a photographer, but to keep food coming in and paying bills, they did other things, but said, look, you want to hire me, it's $10,000. And photographers have done that. And some have been able to have survived that wait and time till they could build that up and find the right clients. And others have given up. I know it sounds like, there's a lot of ways we can go, but the fact is it's all within us. I mean, that is the simple fact. You and I have the choices. You and I have the ability to improve the photography to the level that we want to improve our photography. The resources today are there to get to any level of photography you desire. That doesn't mean everybody's going to make it. But the thing is, a lot of people don't try. And so if you take that effort and figure out and compare, I mean, honestly, some of the best photographers are not necessarily the highest paid photographers. And some of the highest paid photographers are not necessarily the best photographers. They've had great opportunities because they put themselves in positions that they were able to photograph very interesting things, interesting people, interesting places. And in that kind of, if you work it and network, that kind of develops on itself and grows on itself. A big part of that networking is of growing a business in photography is that networking. Social media can be a big part of that as you share and find, your photographs in front of the right people. But a lot of times it's just the reputation and the relationships that you make that you can then rely on those good referrals. And some of the best referrals I've had this month, some of the referrals I've had this month have been tremendous. And some of them are from clients I've had for 10, 20 years. But you keep those relationships going. Don't stop connecting with those people. One way this kind of works is, for example, sometimes you connect with somebody at an agency or a company, or maybe it's a family, a well-to-do family. Maybe you like to do wedding photography or seniors, but you want to work at a very high level. And you finally get in with a specific family and you build that relationship so they'll refer you. And then one family refers to another family. If it's in the business world, sometimes one person within the industry, a marketing director, will talk to another marketing director, or an art director or a creative director will talk to another art director. But what happens more often is that, especially in the business world, is that somebody moves on to another job. And quite often it's another company that may very well hire photographers for $25,000 a day, for sake of argument. And so someone else fills in that other position. Hopefully you can keep that relationship with the person at business or agency A, and you can follow that person into agency B. That often happens. And that's one way that time is on your side. And as other people's careers build and those relationships build, that's why it's important to keep in touch with people who are coming into the business, as well as people who are moving up within the businesses, or with families, and keeping track of what's going on and keeping in touch. However you go about it, whatever your area of photography may be, it's that communication, and keep the brand, your reputation in front of them. Show them that your reputation or brand and the brand equity that you have developed has increased by letting them know, look, I am working for this brand, or I've created this great wedding, on location here, and keep you and that conversation top of mind. And that is going to just do tremendous for a photography career. So brand equity comes out of good communication, building that reputation. So the question to you is, how are you going to do that now? Where are you now in your photography? What level do you consider yourself at? When I taught at the universities, I would have young photographers, and they, talking about, we were in the photojournalism program, and some photographers wanted to work for the big magazines and the big newspapers. And they'd ask me, how do I get there? It was very simple. Ask. Just the process of asking. Some people would say, well, I'm going to start off at the local weekly and work my way up. Doesn't happen very often that way. You may make a few steps up, but you're not going to be to where you wanted to go. You need to go. If you want to go to the Wall Street Journal or New York Times or a big magazine that you are a fan of, you have to apply and then get rejected. But that's okay, because now you have some sort of a relationship in many cases, and you can say, what was it that you didn't see in my work? And some people, not everyone, will tell you what it is they didn't see. When you don't get a job, ask what it is. And if it's money, fine, then they weren't the right client for you. If it's because somebody else had a better look or feel, or something that you can work with, then ask those good questions. Ask people, what is it that made you go with this photographer over that photographer? So you can not to necessarily copy, but so you can maybe see the trends or understand what is it that art directors in this industry are looking for, or business owners or editors. You have to go through that process. And sometimes we don't do it because we're afraid of the rejection. I can tell you that has certainly been the case for me many times in my career, where I didn't make moves because I didn't want to face what I thought was the obvious, I'm not there yet. I'm not good enough yet. And I think we all feel that at different times. So take a moment to understand where you are now, where you want to go, and then find out who you need to talk with, or what upgrades do you need to make. I often say it's not about the equipment, but sometimes it is maybe the equipment level or the team that you have. Maybe you don't have a team. Maybe you're very independent. Maybe you need to start developing production teams that will allow you to take on those bigger jobs. I found once I pulled on more people onto my team that I knew could problem solve for me on a set, I had more confidence, because I knew it wasn't all on me. I had people around me who could do a specific job well, would have some other eyes to maybe just bounce ideas off of or thoughts. And that to me takes away the honestly the wonder if, what if I find myself in a position that I feel like I'm over my head. Hiring the right people and keeping the right people around you will help prevent that. Again, whether it's again a high-end wedding, it's working with a public relations firm, whether it's any kind of big magazine or corporation. Uh, Photographers, I think at all levels, certainly feel that way at different times. Just like when speaking, some people walk out on stage, they're totally fine. They don't even think twice about it. And other people get really nervous, although they've been doing it for 20 years. It's the same with photography. But the more prepared you are in that process, the better off you're going to be. I feel more confident. I just had a 3-day assignment, and the day before, that Sunday, I came into the studio and I made sure I had everything available, ready to go, so I would have the confidence. And then I also had a stylist that was going to be on set that I knew was very good, who's going to help me. I work with him a lot, and he's going to help the process work really well. And it did, and it did go well. So there are many different elements that can help you develop that inner security, understanding of who you are as a photographer, especially if you're not knocking on the doors you think you should be at this point in time. And finding those people to support you, to help you have the confidence to build that reputation so you can build that brand equity into who you want to be. And in some cases, the old saying, fake it till you make it. Don't take on jobs you can't do, because that's going to hurt your reputation. Don't do the things that are going to hurt your brand equity. We all take them on. I remember early in my career taking on jewelry jobs that I had no business taking on. Really, I had no business at that time taking on those jobs, photographing jewelry. And it did hurt my reputation in certain areas. So I couldn't expand my business. So in those situations, people often ask, what do you do? And my recommendation is make sure you have some other high quality photographers that you trust, that you can refer those types of jobs to. If someone asks you to photograph jewelry and you have no sense and understanding of really how to do it well, yes, you can look on YouTube videos. Nothing wrong with YouTube at all. But you may want to, until you develop that, or maybe bring that person in with you, or refer the job, so you know that you're going to have, your reputation will be intact at the end of that assignment, and you can continue to move on. But it really is one of those things. One assignment leads to another assignment, but for that to work well, you have to keep that communication open. It makes all the difference in the world. Keep that follow-up going, and it makes all the difference in the world. Hey, I'm open to questions if there are any folks in here. As we wrap this part up, I just wanted to do a pop-up. It's been a while since I've done a live anything on this channel, and I wanted to share some ideas, some thoughts that I was going to do a video on brand equity, but I decided, you know what? Why don't I just do a kind of a pop-up live and answer questions? And if there are no questions here live, we can certainly catch you in the comments. I always appreciate those comments, and I always appreciate the engagement that you folks, whenever you ask a good question, even if it's a question that's not totally related to the video, it's very helpful for me to plan other videos. And if you're looking for more marketing ideas, I always have my other channel, and that's the YouTube /Rosh Sillars, or you can just go to rosh.video and it will take you over there if you have not visited that channel. Well, thank you so much. We're just coming up on 20 minutes. This has been wonderful. I always appreciate it when I have the opportunity to share with you guys. We'll talk to you next time.